All right, I have to apologize. I'm not sure if we're live or not. We're just going to go ahead and go. And if we're recording, we're recording. We'll figure it all out here in a second. It's going about as well as things went for the Baltimore Ravens tonight anyway. It's the Project Game Day post-game show. Ravens fall to 1-2 on the season, and it was uglier than I think the score even will indicate that it was, as they fall 38 to 30. I'm Glenn Clark. KZ's here. Steck is here. Tyus Bowser's here. We're just going to go first thoughts to kick us off. Project Game Day postgame show is brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER. HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. KZ, I'll start with you. Your initial reaction.
They're soft. They got dominated on both sides of the ball. Um, they were lucky to be in the game, quite frankly. It felt really bad at halftime, like they were totally being dominated, and the scoreboard didn't look that way. They come out. Uh, I don't remember. I don't know what the final number was, but they gave up close to 250 yards on the ground. They couldn't establish the line of scrimmage. You got a running back that's going to the Hall of Fame that has a fumbling problem now. Uh, those are my initial reactions. It was ugly. It was very, very ugly.
Former Ravens linebacker Tyus Bowser, your initial reaction to the Ravens losing to the Lions tonight.
Yeah, uh, I probably have to agree with him. I definitely thought it was a very soft performance. I mean, especially in the run game, where the Ravens always take pride in stopping the run. That's the number one priority when it comes to that defense. And to see how quick the offensive line got up to the second level and running backs is coming out scot-free and not even being touched. I mean, it's definitely hard to watch. And like you said, just the fumbling problem. But yeah, it was a rough night for Baltimore.
It was a, disastrous night. Andrew Stecca, your initial reactions.
I mean, I hate to piggyback, but I mean, these guys both just said it. Soft is kind of the word that comes to mind, unfortunately. You hate that at home on a Monday night early in the season when you're supposed to. I mean, look, we know there are certain guys that aren't healthy as well, and that certainly is a factor in this. I think we need to acknowledge that at the very least. But yeah, overall, they just did not seem. I mean, even from jump, like right away, Ravens, kicked the ball off. Lions went right down on the field on them, and yeah, they responded here and there in the first half. But it kind of always felt like the Ravens were scratching and clawing to stay in the game rather than ever taking control of the game, and a lot of that has to do with the two 90+ yard touchdown drives that the Lions went on during this game. And what really stood out to me from this was the stat that Joe Buck said during the broadcast was that the Ravens hadn't had one of those at home since 2001, and they had two of them tonight against them. That tells the whole story of the game to me.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, they did go in front, obviously, early in the third quarter, and it seemed like they kind of seized control at that point, taking a 21-14 lead, but they just turned around and gave it right back on the following drive, and so it was kind of all gone from there. Let's attempt to bring in Reeta Hubbard. If things went poorly for the Ravens tonight, they didn't go much better for Reeta, who currently is on the light rail without her AirPods, and it doesn't sound like she can hear us very well at all. Reeta,
I
attempt
can
to
hear
give
y'all.
us, all right, attempt to give us your thoughts.
Yes, I am on the light rail. So sorry, I'm doing post game on the light rail. So live from the light rail. Real quick, a couple things. Um, this defensive front is so disgusting without Metabike and Kyle Van Noy, and no one fears them up the middle. They're just going to keep running up the middle. It's a really big problem moving forward. Offensive line, we already know is bad, but I don't understand why Lamar Jackson, anybody that's named Lamar Jackson, is getting 7 sacks. Is he not healthy? Why is he not moving using his legs? Derrick Henry, this is his third game in a row. He's going to have to go see the lady because that's now it's a trend. You got to go see the lady. Go see the sports psychiatrist. Go talk to her on a regular basis at this point because it's mental, in my opinion, at this point. Why you laughing, Tyus? Because it's true. He needs to go see the lady, Tyus. He does.
You're
And
funny. You're funny.
I mean, look, it's either the yips or it's the psyche. It's one or the other. And I think it could be both. But go see the lady, okay? Go talk about it because it's a problem. But I don't foresee this team, as talented as they are from a skill player perspective, because the trenches is so important in the NFL and because they're struggling so bad. I'm sorry, they're going to be right back where they were last year, which is, maybe get to the divisional round and go, because they're going to play better teams like the Detroit Lions. Obviously, that's the NFC, but I'm making the point, like, when you get to the playoffs, you play better offenses like that. And if you can't do anything up front, then you can't do anything at all. And if Lamar's not willing to run, then they're cooked. It's barbecue chicken alert. That's all I got to say about that.
Tyus, I want to get your
On the light
thoughts.
round. Like,
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on what Rita said about Lamar in particular, because I think the crazy part is yes, the 7 sacks were alarming, and many of them, I think, start up front, but it also seemed like he was legitimately running into a few of the sacks as the night went on. What did you make? Was it just his skittishness that
yeah,
led to that? Like,
yeah.
how,
I definitely felt like it was skittish. Like at this point, so you remember when Tom Brady used to talk about like when the Ravens would do like the phantom pressure, right? And I think that after the first couple of sacks, it got into his head a little bit, and so now he's being skittish because he doesn't trust the line at this point, and now he's feeling like he needs to make some decisions, and he's not obviously trying to run. But then also, like you said, like a couple times I saw that they had a spy, but honestly, sorry, y'all. I saw they had a spy a couple times, and a linebacker spy. But my thing is like there are very few guys that can stop the ball. And so because he kept seeing the spy, he kept not trying to run. You can outrun that dude. That dude's not Fred Warner. That dude's not. You know what I'm saying? There's only a couple of guys that can beat Lamar Jackson at the linebacker position, and that guy does not play for the Detroit Lions. And that was what I couldn't understand. But I do think that after the couple of sacks, I think he became skittish, and that's just kind of how that went. I don't know how Lamar just wasn't in sync at all. He almost threw a pick. It just didn't look. No, that was Derrick Henry that threw that pass. I don't know what to make of this, but they have to really figure out how they can fix their trenches on both sides of the ball moving forward, because the schedule doesn't get easier, and the fronts that they're going to play. Kansas City has a good front too. So now what? Sorry, it's starting to get loud. So I'm gonna put my music back on.
yeah. We'll get you back. We'll get you back. Let me go to Tyus on this and what you saw from Lamar, particularly when it comes to the sacks.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the Lions' defensive front line, you can tell that they was trying to push up the pocket, and like Rita said, they had a spy there. So it was a lot of times where it's almost a cage where they don't want to try to go too much of a freestyle when it comes to their rushes because they know Lamar can make plays with his legs. So you can see in parts where with Hutchinson and a few other guys, they're doing more of a cage rush with a spy sitting right there. So if he even steps up one step, you got a guy sitting right there ready to come and get you. But then too, you can tell in ways that he was a little skittish where he was trying to extend plays and trying to get the throw out first instead of choosing to be like, hey, I'm gonna just go out here and use my legs and try to get a play or try to get yards and not try to get sacks. But I think that they did a really good job as far as caging them in and keeping their rushes alive. That's where you kind of see a lot of their sacks was coming from, was just based off of the second effort plays that those rushers did to try to get to Lamar. And like you said, like he was just trying to find a way to extend the play instead of just using his legs. And it just came times where guys were just in the right place and was able to make plays tonight.
So take me through when he is caged in like that, Tyus. What should he be trying to do?
Who, Lamar?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure as a drop back passer, you're taking your 3, 5 steps, whatever it is. And if you have guys that's 2 yards behind you, I mean, you're not going to continue to go backwards because you're going to get hit by one of the guys. So if everybody's caging and all you have is an open space in front, then I mean, you have to step up because that's just part of what you do as a quarterback. Once you hit your steps and you see everything is kind of coming towards you, then you either make a maneuver through your size or you step up and try to get your throw out. But if you have somebody sitting right there waiting for you to step up, it's hard for you to try to get things going. And of course, Lamar is always going to try to find a way to get out. But it's tough when you have that cage going, and then maybe from his mindset of just wanting to throw the ball and try to make a play that way instead of using his legs, it just kind of plays in the favor of Detroit when it comes to their rush game.
All right, let me go to the other side of the ball, and I'll come to Tyus last. I want it because Andrew, you brought it up, Rita brought it up. Obviously, the bigger storyline, or maybe not the bigger storyline, but the bigger storyline coming in was no Nnamdi Madubuike, no Kyle Van Noy. John Harbaugh says after the game he still doesn't have an update on Nnamdi Madubuike. The fact that it's a neck injury is not like that is extraordinarily concerning to me. Now, I don't know anything, so I don't want to speculate. I don't want to go that route, but it's very concerning. We know Kyle Van Noy was going to miss a couple of games at the least. Is the story of where is that within the story of what we saw defensively tonight? How much of what we saw defensively tonight to you is about that, and how much of it is a bigger problem for the Ravens defense? Andrew, I'm going to start with you this time.
Well, I think you also have to consider the fact that the Lions are good. We at least think they are good. They have a good running game. Like this was a talented group. It wasn't even just up against the run though that it felt like this defense was struggling. I mean, I know Marlon Humphrey's a little banged up, but we saw him get absolutely torched on the one touchdown. Like the secondary still doesn't quite have it all together either. I'm seeing a lot of different parts of this defense that doesn't look like it's all on the same page all the time. And that's what's, I mean, look, they've faced good outside of last week with the Browns. Obviously, we know what they are, but like they faced two really good offenses and they've lost those two games so far this season. So I if we're trying to make like some early season trends that we're looking at, yes, this does look like a problem. I don't know about like if you're talking about blame pie, I don't know how much you put on the guys that they've been missing or scheme or what, but that's something that they're going to have to figure out and quickly because honestly, Glenn, the thing I've thought about already is the fact that you got a 1-2 team now facing a 1-2 Chiefs team next week on the road, and that becomes a really, really crucial game.
No, there's no doubt about that. There's no question. But I'll come back to that. Let me go to the KZ. What do you make of the performance of the defense and the significance of the two guys that weren't out there tonight?
How many years do we have to go without having a pass rush before it's a problem? I mean, you look at teams, you look at good teams, and they're pulling guys off the street, and the Ravens have been good at that. But one guy goes out, Van Noy, and now we have no pass rush. Like this is supposed to be the deepest, most talented roster in the NFL. Mike Green, I know he's supposed to be good. I see him in coverage. What's he in coverage for? Go get the quarterback. Like what is that? I mean,
Well, I think they got him
what
playing Sam.
what
From a few plays that I've seen, they have him playing Sam, so that's
but
probably
why?
some
But
reason.
why?
I
Why?
mean, you got Kyle. I mean, Kyle Van Noy is kind of the guy that plays that Sam, or is mainly the rusher because they're not going to put Dafe out in coverage. They're going to want him to rush because they don't have anybody else really to go out there and rush.
He made his one play for the day. So that's good. By the way, Tyus, not a big fan of his. Sorry, you'll learn me as we go through this. wasn't a fan of the pick when they took him, and it's just like maybe it's the scheme, maybe it is. I mean, the fact that they can't find another safety, so Hamilton can't be Kyle Hamilton like we're used to seeing and playing near the line of scrimmage and things like that. But Jones is supposed to be a player, right? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know those are two big losses, but I'm not going to blame it on that. You're supposed to have all this talent on this team. I just don't see it. They blitz. They blitz. Do they ever get home when they blitz?
Well, they were calling a lot of cornerback blitzes early, and they were certainly not getting home. Like they
I
were
mean,
bringing a lot.
I saw one where both linebackers came and on a delay, and Roshan got there on one. But I mean, Goff had a white jersey at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, he barely got hit. I think
I
he got.
just, it's a problem that they're, against these better teams and against better quarterbacks. You've got to put some pressure, and they just don't get it. They just don't get it consistently. And it's not about, did they get a sack? Is that silly streak finally over?
No, they did not get a sack.
Okay, so that we can stop talking about that streak. Um, it's got to be better. It's got to be schemed better. They've got to figure out how to get pressure on the quarterback, because those two guys, let's be honest, you may not see them for a month. You may not see them for a month.
Tyus, I'll give it to you.
Man, ain't gonna lie, it was tough seeing the rush as well. Um, I mean, I feel like Detroit had a really good game plan as far as their rush, especially with guys out. I think that they pretty much trusted their O-line to take care of their one-on-ones. And in parts, they'll use Gibbs or anybody else to kind of do little chips, but he definitely had a ton of time back there to sit back and read, coverages and go out there and make plays. And like you said, you got to find ways to get him to hold the ball. And when you're not able to do that, then I mean, you're pretty much in a tough situation when it comes as a defense, because they they had different they had certain times in the game where they made really good stops, and then they get him in a good third down and long, and somehow some way he's still sitting back there casually waiting for his guys to get open,
All the
or their
time in the
tight
world.
end, especially their tight ends. They did a really good job of getting open and making plays.
Yeah, the third down stuff was, it seemed to be even, I mean, the numbers say 7 of 14, but that's because that includes 3 for 3 on fourth down for the Lions on top of it. So you combine those two, that's 10 of 17 in keeping drives alive. And the 3 fourth down conversions all were absolutely massive for the
That's
Lions. Meanwhile, the Ravens went for it on fourth and goal and didn't get it. And in a weird way, the game, as much as we can say they got their ass kicked, to me, those 4 plays tell a lot of the story as well. Rita, what do you make of how much of the performance of the defense is related to Van Noy and Matabike not being there versus just there being a bigger problem defensively?
A bigger problem, right? Because that means you have a depth issue. Um, you know, I love Travis Jones, but people was a 6th round draft pick. Look, before the game started, I was like, I understand Michael Pierce is the guy of the game. I was like, can he please just put his uniform back on just one more time? Please help us out here, because I knew that this was going to be a problem. And it's going to be a problem moving forward. I think now the question is, David Ajabo has been inactive. You have no choice now but to try to just throw doo-doo on the wall and see if it sticks.
Well, they tried. I mean, they put him out there.
Why does he laughing at me? Because I'm trying to speak it in, some different types of terms. You know what I mean? You got to figure out. You got to do something around here. You got to throw it. You got to throw it on the wall and see if it sticks. Because at this point, what is he? He's just a roster spot, right? Figure it out. Try to get something going. Try to put somebody out there to do something. And also, too, I understand. The Ravens, if they try to trade for someone, I understand they're probably gonna get fleet because everybody knows that they have that need. But I'm definitely in the market trying to find somebody, because it was embarrassing how they just had they cared nothing about the middle, and they would go there with no problems and was picking up 6-7 yards. And moving forward, that's so problematic. You know what I'm saying? And also too, I saw the corner blitzes, right? I know you was talking about Matabike and Van Noy, but I want to get back to that. Look, man, hey, we still getting Marlowe to do the corner blitz. We're not had enough. I've seen enough. He's not getting home.
It wasn't working. There's no doubt the corner blitz wasn't working. We're starting to lose you a little bit again. So I'll come back. I promise. I'll come back in a minute to you. Let me get to a couple of things that are getting in on the comments. And look, they're not going to fire someone after week 3, but this is what happens. The KZ was going to try to fire someone. We're going to let KZ fire someone later on in the program anyway. But I look, we'll have the conversation. This is 2 straight years that the defense under Zach Orr, who we all like, has gotten off to a brutal start. How much of this do we have to put on Zach Orr? And at some point during the season, if it were to continue, are they going to have to do something different? And I'm normally the guy that says we never have these conversations, but this was all supposed to have been fixed late last season, and I am stunned.
Are you firing him? Is that who's getting fired this week?
KZ, you can go first. That's fine.
Go ahead, KZ, because you know you want to fire
I
somebody.
thought
Fire him.
I was told I wasn't allowed to fire coaches this year.
No, you're allowed to fire every time they lose. I give you the option
Every
to
time
fire
they
somebody.
lose, you can fire somebody. KZ.
Yeah.
Oh, I just can't fire the head coach.
Well, you can fire whoever you want.
Oh.
It doesn't make a difference. But
And I hate to do this. I do. But Derrick Henry needs to hold on to the ball.
okay, well, that's a different conversation. Are you fine? I wanted to talk about Zach Orr.
Oh, Zach Orr, you're not firing Zach Orr. I don't know. Like, are you bringing somebody in to change the scheme entirely? I don't know. I mean, I thought that's why we brought Pagano back this year to help him to have that veteran presence there. I don't know. I mean, to me, you're not running the scheme. I just figure out who my third safety is and live with it and let Kyle Hamilton be Kyle Hamilton. I think that's my biggest problem on this defense right now is that Kyle Hamilton isn't able to be the game wrecker that we've seen him be because we don't have that other safety and he's playing too far away from the line of scrimmage for me. He's in coverage too much. I just something's got to change. I don't your personnel is your personnel. I don't know. I'm not firing Zach Orr tonight. That's not the guy I would fire.
Andrew?
I get that you're not firing Zach Orr tonight, and I agree with you 100% that you're not firing Zach Orr tonight. But I think the most interesting part of this season now becomes in 10 weeks, are you firing Zach Orr? Like, are you going to be forced to because it gets that bad? Like, that's what I'm not afraid of, but that's what I'm afraid of becoming afraid of, if you will. Like,
so for me, Andrew, next week is it, and I'll tell you why next week is it, because Kansas City can't play offensive football right now.
Listen,
okay?
I hear you, but still, that's you're still talking about going into Arrowhead.
I understand.
I understand
dog.
that.
They still the Chiefs.
No, I don't want to hear about
No,
the Chiefs.
no, they're playing against better defenses right now, KZ.
Yeah.
Giants defense is good.
Who?
Giants
The
defense
Giants?
ain't bad. When they don't play the Cowboys, they are fine.
No, I'm sorry. They can't. I've seen 3 games of the Kansas City Chiefs. They have no deep threat. Okay,
but
they
KZ,
can't run the ball against anybody. If you don't dominate that team, if this is the same old
KZ,
as we're seeing, you got to beat good teams.
Let me do this so you don't have to, Glenn, because honestly, KZ, you know better because the Kansas City is warming up. We know that. Like, come on, it's 3 weeks in, man. Like, you're not going to sit there and disrespect that team like that and just expect that if KZ the defense doesn't.
Andrew, you're not
I'm
going to
not disrespecting them.
I think KZ made a decent point in there, which is that whatever you say about that's still Patrick Mahomes, and I agree with everything. It's still Andy Reid. They haven't run the ball at all. They haven't, like at all. They haven't run the ball. And I think if the point that KZ is making is you go get bludgeoned, we know Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are an all-world 1-2 punch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Lions' offensive line the last few years has been phenomenal. I know Frank Ragnow retired, but they have done an incredible job of investing up front. They're going to bully a lot of teams on the ground. That's not what the Chiefs do. And if KZ's point is that you go next week and all of a sudden Isaiah Pacheco is blowing you over and Kareem Hunt is blowing you over, I do think it starts to become a come to Jesus type of moment that might require something really drastic because this is to me, the run defense wasn't my concern coming into the season, right? It was the edge rush that was my concern. But And I don't expect that to happen, so I don't think it's going to be. But I think there is a point in there somewhere with where I agree with you. I'm not dismissive of Kansas City in any way.
And I totally see that point on the running game. Like, yes, if they go and get bludgeoned in the run game next week, it will certainly raise more questions. I'm just saying that
Which we should
team
expect. Y'all, they don't have anything up the middle.
they don't, and teams are still, this is honestly, we talked about this the last few years. Nobody plays in the preseason. Teams are still warming up. Like now the real season starts and they've only won one game thus far. That's the trouble. And that's the problem with this. And I'm just not going to discount the Chiefs because they don't they're a car that's just warming up to me, just like a lot of the good teams.
But what
I'm
I'm saying, but as Glenn was trying to explain my point, like this has to get fixed very quickly.
Oh, I
Like this is,
agree.
and I'm just saying, like they have not, they offensively right now they are challenged, and this isn't the going to be the same Kansas City Chiefs 4 weeks from now. If you're, I wouldn't even say this 4 weeks from now, but in week 4, that team needs to, you need to hold that team to 60 yards rushing and make Patrick Mahomes beat you. And I know he can, but that will be my measuring stick on the Zach Orr for me.
Tyus, I want to go to you because I know you're not going to fire anyone. But I do want to get your perspective on how much of this falls at the feet of a coordinator. Because I know we're going to say, hey, the players have to go make plays, and that's true. But specifically what I'm talking about, like that you went into a year ago after an outstanding defense in 2023, and it was a disaster to start the season. You'd seem to get it fixed. Down the stretch last year, they were the best defense in football. And to have this happen again to start the season this year, what do we make of it? And is there a little bit of pressure now that falls on Zach Orr that has to get fixed?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of pressure just because we all understand the standard that comes when it comes to being the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Like you got to play at your best, and if you're not, it's definitely going to get noticed, and people are going to start asking like, "What do we need to make some adjustments? Do we need to make some changes?" So, of course, there's going to be some pressure on him, but like you said, you got to go out there and play. At the end of the day, the person on the other side of the line from you shouldn't be pushing you back 8 yards and they're running scot-free down the middle of the field. Like that comes down to you as a man, as a player, to go out there and whatever it's called, go out there and execute it at a high level and go out there and make plays. Simple as that. So I can't say all of it is specifically on Zach Orr, but at the same time, he does play a part in that and putting guys in the right situation, having the right guys out there, having them prepared, making sure that everybody is on the same page when it comes to the game plan, and that you can go out there and play confident, go out there and play fast and physical. Simple as that. That's what I feel is the job as a defensive coordinator. And then from there, the players just got to go out there and play football. Like you should have way more pride than to get plummeted going down the field 98, 90 plus yards twice.
No,
So I
staggering.
mean, yeah, you just as a player, I know for me and when I was there, that was no case. Like we're gonna have to bow up and we're gonna get some type of stop, whether it's a field goal, but we're not about to get ran down the field 90 plus yards twice. And yeah, it's just a certain standard when it comes to that defense that you have to play as a player, but then also as a coach as well.
If you're feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself, it could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, they specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Their treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Call Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, 443-264-4454. In Columbia, 443-266-3505. Or in Frederick, 240-931-3717. Or visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com and ask them for your complimentary testosterone test.
That's dirty pull. That's dirty pull right there after that game.
What? What do you want to say? What do you want to say? You think the
They-
Ravens are low T? You want to say it? Go ahead. Go right
maybe
ahead.
maybe
They
maybe
need to
they
get
should
to
go.
game day men's health.
Maybe they should go.
I don't know that I would disagree in this moment, Ken. I don't know that's the case. A couple of things. Troy, we always love hearing from Troy. Rita says, Derrick Henry doesn't need to go see the lady. He needs to go see the Lord. That's not. That's rough, man. This Derrick Henry
Who
is
says the Lord isn't a lady?
okay, you know what? Fair. This is the problem that I have with this is that I almost find it like the Mark Andrews conversation where, yeah, we're going to be down on Derrick Henry right now, but Derrick Henry is the solution still. Like that's the tricky part about having this conversation is as down as we are on him, the path to this getting solved is still very much through Derrick Henry and just has to involve him not putting the ball on the ground any
Yep,
longer.
that's it. That literally is it. I mean, even though like clearly you see defenses are, honing down on like the run game, you can't not run the ball. One, don't you still can't do that. But two, you still have to make sure that Derrick Henry is getting the touches that he needs because from a statistic standpoint, we know that if he gets over 20 carries, they typically win the ball game. So yeah, it's unfortunate that he's doing it in the spots that he's doing it in, as well as the time. It was so reminiscent to week one against the Bills, like where it was from a field position perspective and like the timing of it. But also, you have to, you paid him a lot of money. So there's the political standpoint of it, but also he's still one of your best players on offense. You just have to hope he figures it out. I
Yeah.
still want him to talk to the lady though.
Yeah, you're
I still
not,
want him to talk to the lady.
or the Lord, or both, right? Or if it's the same person. To your point, Rita, I think what was really frustrating about the fumble is in the previous, so they had the field goal drive, right? They cut it to 28-24. And I think one of the frustrations was you're down by one score, but it did seem, again, like they were kind of getting away from Derrick Henry. He only touched the ball one time on that 10-play drive. And so you get the ball back after you get a 3-and-out, which was a miracle because you didn't get many of those tonight. But you get the ball back in a 3-and-out, and you're recommitting. Okay, all's good here. We're not going to panic. We're not going to go away. There's still 8 minutes and 31 seconds left in a one-score game. We're going right back to Derrick Henry, and poof. And this happens. And that's what makes it so troubling is that, like, my God, in that moment, you just needed your steadying force to be your steadying force. You needed your closer to be your closer, and that's not what Derrick Henry was there to do in that moment. Tyus, we did see, I brought up Mark Andrews. We did see the Ravens get the ball back to Mark Andrews this week. You assume that Isaiah Likely will be back next week against Kansas City, considering they didn't put him on IR. They presumably wanted to have him on the field before week 5. I know we're not looking for moral victories, but that is encouraging and hopefully makes them all the more dynamic next week if Isaiah Likely is on the field.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was good to see Mark Andrews get going again, get his confidence going, get him in the end zone, and you know that this is a guy that you can trust, and that's a reliable source. So I think that's a moral victory for Mark Andrews, but also for Lamar as well. But I think I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how next week goes, because I'm sure that Kansas City is always going to have a plan for Mark Andrews and other guys as well. But I think just looking at tonight and just seeing how active Mark Andrews was, just getting the ball, it was just good to see.
John's comment: teams go out of their way to get an elite pass rusher, but not the Ravens. It's easy to say those things and to like pretend like the Ravens haven't tried or wouldn't want to. I, I I don't know what the extent of the Ravens' involvement in any Micah Parsons conversations were, right? It might very well be that the Ravens were interested in trading for Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons apparently had said, if I'm out, I either want to go to Philadelphia or I want to go to Green Bay. And I don't know if what I we don't I've seen no reporting about the Ravens and Micah Parsons. I don't think they would say, well, there's no world where we're interested. Now, if the complaint is that this team required maybe doing something you've never done before, we could have that conversation. I don't know. But I don't think it's that they're purposefully not trying. I think they want Mike Green to be that guy. I think
But Glenn, I mean, look, I don't like all the guys that they drafted, but they've drafted 2 second-rounders and a
And a
first
first
rounder that
rounder.
are on the team. So I free agency wise, sure, but they've also been successful in getting guys like, Clowney and Van Noy over the last couple of years. So I don't want to. There's a lot of criticisms. I don't think that's particularly fair. We can talk about scheme and how they use those pass rushers from now to the cows come home, but they've taken shots in the draft and they've had some success with what their way of going and getting guys is. I don't know, were they in, would they be willing to give up, a player and multiple draft picks? It's not usually their MO, historically. So, I mean, we can criticize, but let's try to be fair.
I think that's fair. I think that's weird for you to say something so measured, KZ. Who are you?
Well,
I don't.
look.
You're,
I
that's
was
not
told
your
during the
role
game.
here.
Wait a minute. I was told during the game, and it may even been John, that I've gone soft because I wasn't getting upset with him during the game. Um,
Oh,
look. I mean, there's a lot of
but what a
criticisms
number!
to go.
I don't know who this person is, but what a number that is. Lamar Jackson is the first quarterback in NFL history with 9 or more passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a losing record through 3 games. That is staggering. That is staggering. I mean, to be fair, he did try to throw an interception tonight, and like he did, but yuck, yuck. Um, I got nothing on this. All right, let's say it this way. By the way, Project Game Day also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. The best place to watch all the big games, every big fight night is Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel. Let me pose it this way. How panicked are you? Let's do a panic meter. Let's do a 1 to 10. How panicked are you that this team isn't actually a Super Bowl caliber team now that they sit at 1 and 2 through 3 games? And I'll try to go to Rita first with this because no, she says no. I thought you were good. I thought you were off the light rail. She's trying to get home. I'll go to KZ first then.
I'm
You're paying.
helping my mom find her keys. Give me a
Oh,
second.
oh, good. Oh, good.
Hey, tell moms I say hello.
It's our
Panic
post game.
meter. Uh, um, Oof. I'm about a 5.
Okay.
We're scale of 1 to 10, right?
Let's just call it like that's the cop out answer. That's a cop out answer, Casey. You know what
Okay.
that is.
What's
Okay. Can I say 6
what's
then?
the scale?
Sure.
What's the
Because
scale again? Scale again, 1 to 10. What?
1 to 10 on your panic level that this just isn't a Super Bowl caliber team.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll hang up and listen.
so here's why I say 5. I can say 6 if that's a cop out at 5, but when the schedule, we all do this thing with the schedule and where the losses. And for me, if they were going to lose 5 games this year, I thought 2 of them were in the first 4. Okay, you looked at that schedule coming out: Buffalo, Detroit, Kansas City. I know that they're at home, but those are 3 playoff Super Bowl contending teams. I thought if you come out of that 2-2, which they still have an opportunity to do, I was okay because then the schedule kind of opens up in my eyes of what I thought where they could go on a little bit of a winning streak, and I didn't think, and I still don't think, that the division is any good at all. So, as far as can they fix it and how panicked am I, this week I'm truly a 5. I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't want to seem upset about it, because if they go to Kansas City and they beat Kansas City, they're 2-2, and they're exactly where I thought they would be after 4 games.
Let me go to Rita then. Rita.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 6.5. And I say that because um I don't think that you can win big games against better teams with the trenches looking the way they do on both sides, and that's just always going to be my biggest concern. The the skills players that they have will always keep them in games. And like KZ said, like I always kind of felt like they could potentially go 2-2 in this stretch. And if they win in Kansas City next weekend, then okay, they're in 2-2. And he's right that the schedule kind of softens up a little bit. Houston, I think, comes in the following week. And again, like he said, the division is not great. Obviously, we know what happened with Cincinnati. The Steelers should have lost yesterday, but the Patriots just kept shooting themselves in the foot. So there's an opportunity there, but I just don't know, like, when it comes down to, okay, you've qualified to make the playoffs, and now you're starting to play against better caliber teams. What is it what did we see today that makes us feel good about them potentially being in California in February? And I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that because I don't see it. So I'll go with 6.5, and I say that because, like, it would be higher for me if Lamar Jackson wasn't the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I know that tonight was not a good night for him. For whatever reason, he didn't want to run. I guess we'll figure that out. But I don't foresee that being an issue moving forward. Like, I feel like we had this same exact conversation in the beginning of the year last year, and then in the second half of the season, he started using his legs a little bit more. So I think that can be that will be figured out. But I think once you start getting to the playoffs, I'm sorry, if you're going to play the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions is of the the crew, the creme de la cremes, I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about it.
Let me go to Griffin actually next. Griffin, where are you on your panic meter?
Man, I'm gonna almost push back against everything Rita said, and it's because they still have Lamar Jackson. I'm at like a 3, and I think a lot of this depends on what is really wrong with Nnamdi Madubuike, because that was where they got destroyed, was the run game on defense, and they just got David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs were picking up, it felt like 9-10 yards every single time they ran the ball up the middle. So the Nnamdi Madubuike stuff is very ominous, and if it is only a 3 to 4 week kind of thing here, then long term, as KZ said, this division does not seem as strong as it probably is. The Bengals don't have a quarterback, the Browns don't have an offense, the Steelers are. I mean, who knows what the Steelers are. But I don't think this division is as menacing as it has been in the past. So I'm at like a 3 right now. Like as long as number 8 is still on his feet, I have a lot of belief in this team. And tonight was the week 3 of the regular season. Like that, you want to win, but they didn't, and they got 14 more games. They got 14 more games to figure it out. So I'm not overly panicked.
Andrew?
Yeah. Griffin kind of stole my thunder there. When KZ said 5, I was going to be at a 5 too, but then I was like, no, he went to 6 and I was going down to 4. Like I'm at the 3-4 range as well because of the same things that Griffin said. It's so early. The defense can evolve. Will it? Yes, that's a big question, but it can evolve, and they still have 8. Like they have number 8 back there still. They're going to be able to put up somewhere between 30 and 40 points a game, and that's going to win you enough games to win the division. It's going to win you enough games to get you into the playoffs and have a chance. When they get there, am I going to feel confident about it? Probably not, but it doesn't mean they're not a Super Bowl contender. If things continue to slide down the hill the way they are in the defense, yeah, we can ask some questions in a few weeks, but it's still too early for me to be panicked.
Tyus Bowser.
I'm gonna kind of go with everybody else. I think it's still early. I mean, I've been in this situation before where we start slow and then things are starting to get figured out within the team and you kind of get on a roll. And like they said, with the schedule, with everybody, how everybody is looking, I mean, I don't really see too much of a threat from a lot of the teams that they have moving forward besides Kansas City. And like you said, you got Lamar Jackson back there. As long as you got him back there, you good. As long as Derrick Henry is back there and he's holding on to the ball, you have a pretty good chance. When you have Zay Flowers out there, you have another weapon out there to make plays. And then of course, if we can figure out what's going on with Matabike and get Van Noy back healthy, Um, I think they'll be in a good space, and I think that this is probably just a rough patch, and you just got to figure out how to get through this, how to win those next few games going into the bye week, and then from there, really just see how it go. But I would give it like a 4.5. I'm not too worried about it. I know Zach, I know Lamar. Those guys are those guys are dialed in. They know that they're not going to take this loss lightly at all, and they're going to go out next week and make sure that they handle business because it's just the Raven way, as far as I know. So
It's interesting because I'd probably tell you that I am actually a 4, because of the edge rush specifically. Like specifically, this is not a championship pass rush. Like they came in with one of the lowest pass rush win rates in the NFL with Kyle Van Noy. Like they have to the point. If they do get Nami Matabike back at some point, then yes, I don't think they're going to get bludgeoned by the run the way they got bludgeoned by the run tonight. But I don't know, like until I see it from Mike Green, and that's part of like I had probably outrageous expectations from Mike Green that were completely unfair coming into the season, and so I'm disappointed that he hasn't made plays yet. Um, I don't think they can win a Super Bowl with an edge rush that is at this point this pedestrian. But to the point, they've got lots of time. There's a trade deadline in there, and given the sort of pressure that exists, I think specifically on John Harbaugh, I do think there's going to be a little bit more of a if there's an edge rusher that's going to be available, and I don't know who that guy is, right? Like, I don't know if the Max Crosby conversation pops back up again this year, if the Raiders continue to struggle. I don't know who that player is, but if somebody like that is out there, this is the year where you do everything in your power. You go all out to try to make that happen. It's just sort of where I am at the moment. None of
I
it's
feel
good.
like I'm glad that y'all are more confident about it than I am. Somebody got to be the voice of reason here, and I am a voice of reason because I'm not panicked. I'm just
I mean,
telling
there's
you
not
what
a
my
whole lot of like you're a 6, we're a
that's
4. Like that's not a huge difference to
that's
me.
just my truth, right?
Yeah.
But I think I want to like do post game more on the light rail because you get the
Okay.
most interesting conversations. Somebody said Lamar um needs to braid his hair, and that's why they lost because his hair was dangling out his helmet.
yeah,
They
That's the
say
best
they
yeah,
trying to
response.
take
That's
the
the best
battle
response
his
I think you can
dangling
have
ass,
for tonight.
unbraided
Yeah.
hair.
Hang on.
And they,
Tyus, I don't remember. You weren't very superstitious, right? If I remember from our conversations,
yeah.
you were not particularly superstitious.
Hmm.
I would tell you that like I'm definitely a little superstitious to the point where like if I did something a different way and the results didn't go my way, then
Yeah,
I sure as hell wouldn't do it again. Like
I
I,
got you.
I'm that guy.
No,
Like
I understand that. I mean, I can understand it fully. But I've seen Lamar with his hair braided. I've seen Lamar with it in a ponytail. I've seen it with his hair down. Mixture of both, and I've seen the same Lamar Jackson. So I'm not gonna say I'm too worried about him needing to braid his hair and him play a lot better. Like I just think that it was just a it was just a rough game. It was just a rough game, and
and the funny thing is, it's not even like he played poorly tonight, other than the
yeah,
sacks. Like the sacks part
exactly.
that we and I don't even know how much of that is on him and how much of it isn't. Brian says my panic meter is at a 7. I just don't see it. Troy says his panic meter is the 6. Lewis says I'm just sick of the same garbage week after week. There needs to be serious changes. I mean, they need to play better. Like that's if you're looking for change, that's about the only thing that they're gonna do right now is they're going to have to try to play better. But at some point in the coming weeks, we could have other conversations if things continue to go south. The Project Gameday postgame show is also brought to you by the Costas Inn and the all-new Costas Inn, now open in Timonium at the Grandstand. Everything you love about the OG Costas Inn on North Point Boulevard, with the exception of they don't do steamed crabs at the fairgrounds, but everything else on the menu, including those crab jalapeno poppers, big win. They've got one of the best cream of crab soups in town. The Costas Inn. Go check them out. Now open in Timonium. Well, we'll have a few days to sit on this, and then, as we've all pointed out, a nice, easy one in Kansas City. Just a nice, fun little trip to Kansas City looming on Sunday. Hell of a chance to get right or for this city to burn in a few days if it were to go the other
It hasn't
way.
burned
It should be
yet.
a
I
good one.
mean, like, yeah, I think it'll be fine.
It should be a good one. We will be back together for Project Game Day late Sunday afternoon. Tyus, appreciate you as always.
Yes,
We
sir. Appreciate you.
we we both hope and do not to hope to see you next Sunday. That's the way that we will always wrap these throughout the course of the season. And I know that you're exactly right. You know how we feel about you. We love you, but we hope you're employed. Andrew Stecca, thank you. KZ Griffin, thank you. Reed and I are going to try to maybe we'll do a Ravens specific show to address some of these topics this week. We'll do one of those at some point. Thank you to 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, give them a call, 1-800-GAMBLER, for free confidential services. For the whole crew, I'm Glenn. This has been Pressbox's Project Game Day.
Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year. Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
You're all good.
Griffin, are we still live? Or are we? Oh, Griffin's gone.